The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome, listeners and fellow travelers of the world. Greetings from Lovecraft Country, a PapiChuloRadio.com original series. Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. Today is Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020, and I am your host and tour guide, Derek Anthony. As we travel through Lovecraft Country, we're going to explore and dissect the latest episode of the HBO series. Please welcome my co-host, Jeffrey Aruz.
What does the fox say?
Priscilla Rocha.
Hey, everybody.
And Vanetta Berry.
Hello, everyone.
Let me open the guidebook so that we can explore Season 1, Episode 6, which is titled Meet Me in Daegu and aired September 20th, 2020. Here's the official travel diary of our itinerary. Atticus stumbles upon a Korean nursing student during the Korean War, and he is unable to recall their violent introduction to each other. All right. Let us get everyone's initial reaction to the episode. Let us start with Vanetta Berry.
I really liked this one. It wasn't scary. I love the foreign aspect of it because I like foreign films and I like hearing their actual inflections. So, yeah, I thought it was a great episode.
Jeffrey, how about you? What was your initial reaction?
I co-sign. Oddly enough, I kept on reading mixed reviews from people, which I guess we can get into that. But
Yeah.
I found myself riveted by the story. It was a little tentacle porny, certain aspects, which no shame in the tentacle porn game. And I really love learning more and more of like Asian and Pacific Islander supernatural mythology. So seeing sort of like a different layer to that with the Korean sort of supernatural mythology was really interesting. In high school, I had a lot of Filipino friends, and it was always fascinating to hear, like the woman in white and this and that or the other, like, just the urban legends and things like that that they experience. It's one of the reasons why I love anime, because we see a lot of that come to life, and so to see it in live action was really interesting. So I thought it was a pretty good episode.
Priscilla.
Man, I loved this episode. They gave us more insight into a character that we only caught glimpses of throughout this past, and it was a little tentacle porny, and it was very HBO. This episode was the most HBO we've had.
Oh, yes.
The sex scenes sprinkled in everywhere we go. But I didn't mind it as much, and I don't know, I felt, even though it was like a little bit dark for Tick to do a couple of the things that he did, I felt it added more to his character, which is where I felt a lot of people were upset online. They were just kind of like, no, I can't support a character who did the things that he did, but I felt it just added more to his character, and it was hinted already, so y'all shouldn't be surprised this happened.
Oh, that's interesting. That's not the negative things that I read. That's interesting.
Well, I also very much enjoyed the episode. I love seeing, again, most of these episodes are like history lessons to me. So it makes me go and do a little research on this, that, the other. I hadn't done much research on Korea before this. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed the episode, and I did read some of those mixed reviews that we will get into. But yeah, before we do that, we're going to break real quick for some announcements from our announcer.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Greetings from Lovecraft Country and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. All right, so let's start with the mixed reviews. Jeffrey.
Oh, well, I didn't know it was just me. I read some people had a problem that there were subtitles. And I was like,
Yeah.
really, people? Y'all don't like to read? Like, that bothered me a lot. Yeah, it's just, I kept on reading comments of like, I didn't like that there were subtitles. I didn't like that, it went out of Chicago and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, this is world building. Like, we've been introduced to this woman, so we need to get to know a little bit more about her. We already know that some traumatic stuff happened in Atticus's past when he was a soldier in the war. So we got to get that chapter of that missing chapter. This is a departure from the book. This is specifically for the series, so this entire episode is not necessarily inspired by the book, although the aspect of Atticus returning from the Korean War is from the book. So this was completely fresh, and it was really interesting. I mean, I loved that the writers took the chance to took a moment, I should say, to allow us to get to know Gia before we were even introduced to Atticus. A lot of some of the other negative comments that I read was, oh, it took 30 minutes for us to finally see someone that we recognize. I'm like, we saw Gia. We've heard her voice. We saw her once, so we know who she is. We might not.
Seen her a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, we might not know her as much as Ruby and Letty at this point, but after this episode, we sure as hell know who the hell she is and what the hell she's got going on. Clang, clang, clang with the trolley.
Jeffrey, let me tell you what upsets you about that. Because I understand what upsets you about it. It upsets me about it. You have this wonderful show that's very forward thinking. It's exploring all new things that you've never seen on television before. It causes need for discussion amongst fans, hence we're sitting here this evening. And in general, you like to believe that people that watch this show, that enjoy this art, are of a certain mental capacity.
Yeah.
And then you hear something like, I didn't want to read.
Yeah. And the same shit happened with Lost all those years ago. The first episode that focused on Jin and Sun, which was all the flashbacks were with subtitles. I remember people sort of freaking out over that as well. And then, they ended up becoming beloved characters, and we all looked forward to their flashback episodes. But I do remember a little bit of sort of pushback from some people when that happened, even, all those years ago when Lost was on network television.
Oh, I'm sure before that.
I think it's also, it's not just the subtitles, because to what Priscilla was saying, also it's it's a very lazy, entirely American way of viewing and consuming media, which is, my characters all have to be good or bad. I need characters that are either all good or all bad. And that is not the way the world is. And that is not the way anybody else in the world makes movies. It is part of the reason why our country struggles so hard with its negative aspects of its past, because we want to bury our head in the sand regarding those negative things, but that's really kind of how
You get the
we
good with the
became.
bad,
Thank you.
and
And
you're just
so,
trying to sell the good.
absolutely. And they just want to see Atticus as this hero that doesn't have anything bad, but he is a hero in the best sense, kind of like Marvel heroes are heroes in the best sense, because they are really good and they are really bad. Like none of
Or
them are spotless.
I have a better example for you.
What is that?
John Carter.
Absolutely.
See, what's
I
interesting is that I didn't. Priscilla mentioning what she heard, that was the first time I heard it. Like, and I read the comments, I visit different websites and read the comments, and I hadn't read anybody having a problem with Atticus. Yeah.
Priscilla, go ahead, Priscilla. That one was yours.
No, but in the forums that I read, people were like really upset with Atticus having changed in their mindset. They're like, I can't watch this show with somebody who is blatantly that evil. I'm like, what? But this was hinted at already. You knew he came back from the war, and he said, I've done things, Letty. Like, and that should have given you the hint as, oh shit, he did war crimes. Like, you knew.
I think that goes back to what Vanetta was saying, though, about how we sell our media here. And the fact that the good guys are the good guys and the bad guys are the bad guys, and you can't see your good guy doing something bad. But he was a soldier in the United States Army. What do you think when they go over there with all those guns they are doing? They are killing people with them.
They're tickling people, Derek. They're just tickling and protecting.
And the people that they kill are not bad people. They are in the service of their army, usually defending their land. Because, we seem to have a problem with other people's shit. But I digress. I'm not getting into that. So because this was the type of episode that it was, I'm going to ask everybody to touch on one thing in particular that touched them in the episode. Priscilla, you go first.
My favorite part was the part where you realize that all of what she's been doing has been to please her mother, and her mother like doesn't love her and can't love her as a fox spirit, and wants her to change so she can change back into this innocent girl that she was before, but she never was that innocent girl because she was young. Like, if you go back to like when she was an innocent girl, like what was she, like a child back then? Like,
if she had killed 90 people by the time we caught up with her, then yeah, she's probably been at that a little while.
Yeah, so the mother's never gonna get what she wants from the daughter.
Well, in theory, the mother's thinking was that they pay the debt of 100 souls, and that then the spirit would leave her, the fox spirit would leave her, and then she would be left with the daughter's innocence cleansed. So she would be returned back to this young, innocent child who did not get raped by her stepfather, and did not kill 100 people, and did not, didn't have all of these other experiences, because as the spirit, as you hear in that conversation, your daughter doesn't exist anymore. And she really thought that after this debt was paid that she was going to get this prior version of her daughter back without those traumatic memories, without that trauma in her spirit. And I think that was part of the progression throughout. And that was kind of heavy.
Man, but the little jabs that she gave it to her mom throughout it, like, he loved me. Did you know that? Like, that was harsh. Like, you could tell that she was doing monstrous things even without being like, even without killing, she was doing monstrous things. Because there was no call for that.
Well, I don't think that was an attack. Because again, her mother had made a decision on who she was going to be, which was very much bristling against who she actually was. And her mother's defense was, I do this because I love you. But because she doesn't have a compass, a proper love compass, because she's had a trauma early on and then, been changed into a fox spirit. She doesn't have a proper compass on what is love, what are the different types of love. So I'm sure that what she was saying was honest. He loved me. Now, was it a good, healthy love? No. But apparently there was still some love there. And I think that's what she's giving back to the mother. Because, okay, so he loved me and you loved me, and this girl at the nursing school that keep rubbing up on me, clearly she loved me too. But are they all the same love?
I got that there was a very strong questioning about like what is love, because that was kind of her journey. Like she's just trying to figure out like, okay, am I so monstrous that I can't love?
Right.
Can I love in this form? Do you have to change me in order for me to be able to love or to be lovable? And her relationship with the girl at the school really kind of helped her see that she could love and have a love that didn't require anything, because that girl didn't require her to be different. She was just who she was. Yes.
All right. So, Vanetta, since you're here, what was one of your favorite parts?
I had a lot of favorite parts, and this is going to be kind of funny to y'all. I really liked the first kill that we see her do. I thought that was so fucking amazing.
Vanetta, I
don't
find that crazy at all.
You didn't find it too scary?
I didn't. Again, jump scares are the ones that I struggle with the most. That wasn't really a jump scare because
saw that coming.
Yeah, I saw it coming. I saw the thing come out of her ear on the preview from last week, so I knew something was going to happen. I was more scared when she was having sex with Tick every time, because I know that this is in the past, and I know that Tick is supposed to survive, but I'm thinking, she had to have done something. How does she know? And so my mind is going, and every time they have sex, I'm like, oh shit. And then he's okay, and she's okay. Oh shit. That was scarier to me than watching, like when she did that first one we see, and he's like getting all into it, and then she just rips him apart with all those tails. I was just like, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Shout out to the FX team.
Yes, indeed.
Jeffrey.
Oh God, just one thing? Because there's a lot, as Vanetta said.
And we're going to cover a lot.
I know. A quick shout out to the sex, because if we're talking about stuff that touched us, that touched me. I'm just saying. Sex was good. If there was one thing in particular, the scene where Jia and her mom Sunhee are together, and she starts singing for lack of a word, the nursery rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
that was I was really impressed with Jamie Chung. I've loved her since she was Fa Mulan on Once Upon a Time. She is the only live action Mulan that I will recognize. And so I enjoy her. That was my introduction to her. For some people out there, maybe you were introduced to her on The Real World over on MTV. I didn't watch that season, but I've loved her since Once Upon a Time. So seeing her really sink her teeth and tails into the story was really good, and so I liked that moment in particular for both of the actors, but Jamie as Gia sort of brought this little bit of sinisterness in it in that scene.
My favorite was A Very Quiet Moment because it's something that I don't think it's anything that I have ever on television handled in a way that it wasn't a joke. And it was when Atticus told her that he was a virgin. I cannot recall in my 40 plus years of watching television ever seeing a black man have that conversation or make that statement and there wasn't a joke or a laugh track behind it, or they was getting ready to pull a joke on him or something like that.
Yeah, it was a very tender moment.
Clearly he learned some tricks, because that second love scene, I'm just saying.
Well, we don't know how long he had been practicing.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
We saw the time frame.
It was a season. It wasn't like...
Yeah. The season is a long time. We're all quarantined. Seasons feel like a long time.
It's also the first time I can think of, since you mentioned this earlier, Jeffrey, this was in my notes. I think this is the first actual nude Asian sex scene I've seen. Anybody?
It's the first one I've seen where neither body is being fetishized.
Okay.
I've seen other nude sex scenes, but it was very much in like somebody goes to an Asian brothel.
Yeah, I don't count that. And they're usually not having sex with other Asians, are they?
No, it's usually like that's what I mean by it's being fetishized by someone, like a white male.
Mm-hmm.
You don't watch Asian cinema? They have the sex.
Which one?
You don't watch Asian cinema? They have the sex.
I think he's talking about American movies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like in general.
Mm-mm. I'm sure everybody else, again, like...
I haven't seen Crazy Rich Asians. Didn't they not have sex in Crazy Rich Asians?
I've never seen Crazy Rich Asians.
I know, it's on my to-do list, because
I don't think they have sex in there because there's so much other stuff going on. It's really not about them. I don't remember there being a sex scene.
I don't know. It's a romantic comedy. I always assume that they always have sex.
I don't think it was like nudity. I have to look again. It was good though.
One of those undercover acts.
Yeah, like they roll around a little bit and they get up and they have the cover wrapped around them.
Yeah,
one of those.
Okay, I would not count that. That and this are very different.
Joy Luck Club. Was there not sex in Joy Luck Club? I know I'm going way back. I'm trying to think of just...
I did not see that.
Adult productions
I've
with
seen it a couple times. I
Asian
haven't seen
people.
it lately. And I do not believe there was any sex scenes in the Joy Luck Club.
I think there's just a lack of Asian representation in media in general. So
that is
if there's
true.
a lack of representation of Asian media in general, like you're gonna have a lack of sexual representation too. There's just it's just not gonna be there.
Right.
No, that is true. What was it? Crazy Rich Asians was the first film with a majority Asian cast that was like #1 at the box office since Joy Luck Club. Yeah. So, yeah. And Mulan, live action Mulan didn't get the chance because of the corona.
What was Joy Luck Club 25 years ago?
Yeah. 90s. It's somewhere in the 90s.
35 years ago. Let's talk about Judy Garland. Speaking of things coming out of American media.
That opening was great. I love that movie. So to see Jamie Chung just kind of dance to the opening of Meet Me in St. Louis was charming. I thought it was great.
You said you've seen all these movies?
Well, it was always Meet Me in St. Louis, wasn't it?
No, there were a couple different
No, there's a
ones.
couple of different ones.
And Summer Stock was the one that I myself have never seen any of them. The only Judy Garland movie I've seen is the one she's most known for.
I have seen all of them because I went through a phase where back before cable and HBO and everything were the way they are now.
Oh, girl,
there was like,
did you have Spectrum? Did you have on TV?
did I have what?
Spectrum on TV.
Maybe it was Spectrum. I don't remember. I just know that we had American Movie Classics and the Disney Channel, which show all of these old movies. And I got really obsessed with Judy Garland and Audrey Hepburn when I was like a teenager and young adult. And I was just obsessed, and I watched all of these old movies because I wanted to know what references to these things were. I felt it was really important that I not be left out of conversations because I didn't know a reference that other folks would use. So I became obsessed with learning these things and watching these movies so that I wouldn't be left out of conversations.
That was AMC and TCM. Disney Channel did not show Judy Garland or
Okay.
Audrey Hepburn.
I know it was one of those stations that we had, and it was just like at any moment of time, you would just be able to watch all of those old movies. It was really great.
Jeffrey, have you seen them?
As much of a cinephile as I am, I actually haven't. I mean, I'm aware of the movies, but I've just never seen them. There are other like Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals from the time that I've always really wanted to see, but I've never seen. They've always, they're sort of on my imaginary list in my head of movies that I should watch, but I've never seen them. The only one that I've seen is The Wizard of Oz that she stars in.
What did you guys think of the meeting?
Oh, it's like speed dating.
For an engineer.
That was cute.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's where speed dating came from.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. I felt bad for her. She kept on getting the X. Even after that boy, they connected, and he was like, nah. Like, no.
So I read this, I read a couple of reviews today, and also there was an interview that Jamie Chung did, where she's talking about that scene, and like one of the writers was saying that they kind of wanted to allude to the fact that so Judy Garland had this like queer identity thing happening, and so the fact that he was into all of the American movies and things that she was into was like a nod to saying that he may have been queer. And so when he matches with her friend, she comes over and she says he's probably as dull as dishwater, but as ditchwater, but at least like I have no idea why he chose me, but you should come and get some eye candy, right? And so that idea was that maybe he just picked someone who he had nothing in common with, so he wouldn't be found out.
That was interesting. I thought about that. Was happening as well, but then they never really followed up with it. So I was like, if that's what they were doing, I mean, I guess it was a subtle little thing. I was questioning Youngja. I know that in different cultures, intimacy is different, especially and also with the times. I feel like intimacy between friends was very different 50 years ago, 100 years ago, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I always kept on looking at Youngja and how she would react to Jia. Because initially, when she was introduced, I was like, is she going to be like the mean girl? Because there were always these looks between Jia and Youngja. And then when they befriended each other, I was like, oh, okay. So they're showing, this strong female bond. I did feel that there was a sexual undertone, but then
I did too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but then it kind of sort of fizzled because it seemed more so that the undertone was that she was in essence a communist sympathizer, or if not a communist sympathizer, straight up communist. And the for me at least, once that came out, no pun intended, the sexual undertones kind of disappeared.
See, for me, it didn't fizzle. It when they stopped when they hung the first communists, and that scene where Mi Hung and what's her name?
Who,
Gia.
Youngja and Jia?
Yeah, Zia. Thank you. When they sat there and had that conversation, and Myung tells her, you can't be what your people want you to be. They want you to do that. You need to be who you want to be. And she was rubbing that girl's arm, and
Mm-hmm.
she said something about not making monsters, not turning us into monsters, not making monsters out of us. We are different, and it's okay to be different. I think what happened was that whole monster thing hit her. So it wasn't so much that it fizzled or the sexual tension wasn't there anymore. It could only be there from one side. Because, yes, you're different and I'm different, but I'm a different kind of different. And so we can't even go there.
I don't know. We might be looking at it from a 2020 standpoint. And I know that,
Okay.
that there are a bit. I don't know. I know that we. I mean, clearly we figured out Montrose and all that kind of stuff. So we have been right about certain things. I don't know. I was trying to rewatch their scenes, and I don't know if Youngja was supposed to be queer. Um, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever find out. I mean, clearly, she's dead. So I don't know if we will ever.
Is he?
Yeah, she's dead. She was getting a whole teeth extraction.
Yeah, this is Lovecraft country, so that's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I'm sure her ghost could come back. I'm sure, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I really struggled with that. I really liked Youngja. And I really like their friendship, and friends can be friends, and female friends hold hands and that sort of thing, and so I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what they were trying to do with that. I did like that at least for Gia, the lesson was that someone can love me and I can love someone back. And so for Gia, I thought it was a good lesson because clearly it made her really question what Sunhee was telling her, that she was a monster, that she's this spirit and she's not a real person. And she's like, no, I am a person. I can love. People can like me.
I think it also speaks to how we think about victims and what victimhood looks like. Because
Mm.
the whole situation with the mom is like like they already had the shame brought to their house because she was unmarried, and then she gets married to this guy to bring back their social status, and then now she's stained with this victimhood of him having sex with her daughter. And I believe, you know, the monster is the victimhood and the trauma of surviving rape. That's what it felt like for me. Like, obviously, there's a real monster inside of Gia. We know this. We saw the tentacles and everything. But we could also see it as an allegory for, you know, the monster of like what happens to a person when they are confronted with sexual violence, and how does a family deal with it?
Depending on where those fans are, I think. All right. Any other? Again, there was a whole lot happening. I didn't make a full list this time around because I knew everybody was going to want to talk about some favorites. We'll do one more round of that, and then I have to throw a theory out there.
I liked the friend that Tick had, the Asian friend, the one that was just kind of like, yeah, you're never gonna have him say that he knows Judy Garland unless he was his butler, and I'm never gonna be in America okay because they call me a gook. Like, I thought he was interesting, and I wish we had gotten a little bit more of him.
Does everybody think this show is only going to be one season?
I go back and forth with it.
But there's only
Again,
what,
Poppy?
4 more episodes left?
Yeah, I go back and forth with it in my head. Part of me is like, maybe it'll be a season, like Watchmen. From my understanding, because I haven't seen it yet, I know, horrible me. But from my understanding, it is a full story, but they do leave a couple of dangling threads, sort of like what if they were to continue it on. Am I correct in what I've sort of gathered about Watchmen?
I don't know that I would agree with that.
It did not feel like a complete story?
I think they gave you a whole complete story, but they wrote it in such a way that there was ever only going to be one season of it.
Okay. So
because the story that they tell, you can't top that story. You can't go anywhere else with that story.
Okay. So with this one, it does seem like they're tackling the entire book in this first season. They have expanded. They have this whole episode is an expansion. This was not in the book at all. So they have expanded, and they've proved that they are able to expand and make it interesting. They have updated stuff and tweaked things. They've killed characters earlier than in the book. They've kept characters alive later on and then in the book. They've changed things, combined characters, and this, that, or the other. So I feel like if they wanted to, they could write some more. I mean, racism, spoiler alert, racism didn't stop past 1954. There was still racism in 1955. I know, shocker. Shocker.
I don't think that they may necessarily finish this book in one season.
It does, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but based off of just episode titles, it looks like it looks like it's 100%.
Well, this dude can write another story, just like George R.R. Martin. Oh wait, he didn't.
Well, that's funny. That is hilarious. But they can always expand. Lovecraft, period. There are many books that they can interpret. They don't have to necessarily fully go by the book that they're interpreting. The theme is Lovecraft, so there are other Lovecraft creatures and monsters that they can incorporate into 1950s, and showing the horrors of racism and the other horrific creatures around. Like, I could see them continuing it on if the showrunner and the writers and the actors wanted to continue on. But I do think at the end of the season, the final episode is called Full Circle. So I do think we'll get a full circle moment, and they will have completed the entire book by the end of the season. Oh. My hope is that they do leave some dangling threads, so that HBO can renew it. It has been incredibly popular.
Oh, they're gonna leave dangling threads. It's all kinds. That's what I'm saying. There's only 4 episodes left. I know the next one focuses on one particular character, which leaves you 3. One of them is a time travel episode.
And the one before that features another particular character.
So that leaves you with 2. And there's too much going on to properly close out every storyline that you have.
I don't know.
The ones we have right now.
I don't disagree. I hope that there's more. I feel like it probably will. I see this being incredibly successful at the Emmys next year, at least with nominations. Journey, Woonmi, and at least Ingenue will be nominated. Period. Because I feel like the next episode is just going to be spectacular for her. I'm just saying.
Oh, we haven't heard that before from them.
I know, but
All
it's
right,
coming, and I didn't disappoint with Woonmi's. I'm just saying. Am I next in saying favorite stuff?
yeah.
I'm asking. All right. So, what haven't we talked about that I really liked? So we mentioned the relationship between the friends. I love the mother-daughter dynamic as sort of contentious as it was throughout the majority of it. At the end of it, when in essence Sunhee kind of accepts Gia, or not Gia, but the oh gosh, how do you pronounce it? The
Kumiho?
Kumiho, yes, the Kumiho in Gia. I thought that was really powerful. I thought, well, the sex was good. The final one, though, when we saw her see Atticus's past as well as his future, I thought was incredibly.
Hold on, stop.
Well, I just want to say I thought it was incredibly fascinating. That's all I will leave at.
Okay.
And then the conversation at the end with the Mudong was fascinating as well. I'll just leave it at that because I don't know if you're going to go into that, which probably you will because she talks about stuff. Yeah, I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the locations were really nice, and yeah, just the Korean supernatural mythos that was weaved into plot was really fascinating, especially because we're seeing everything in essence from a female point of view, but because Gia as the Kumiho, she's absorbing these men and she's retaining all of their memories. We're seeing her we saw her learn about love through the male perspective, through these male oriented memories, and having her then learn about love as a female, from her own perspective, I thought was really fascinating as well.
I think that I also enjoyed the scenes with Gia and Tick when they're falling for each other. Because like when he does the movie thing, that whole scene of her coming into the on base,
the army camp,
was really disturbing. And then also you go through this, like, all of these emotions. Is she walks up and the guy is so mean to her, and we just saw him be really kind to her in a previous scene, so it just threw me off. And he's like, he calls her a sex worker and says that she can't be there. Look, um I'm going to take you in because you're probably a communist sympathizer. And she's all scared, and I'm scared for her. And then he takes her in, and then it's a setup so that she can have some time with Tick. And I think it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked for her the same way it wouldn't have worked. It didn't work for me to know in advance that that's what was happening, because her response was what it should have been if she were being taken in for questioning. And so I got so wrapped up in that setup that I was just as confused when she went in there too, and I was like, wait, what? And I'm still expecting the other shoe to drop, but then the movie starts and it's really great, and I just really liked that scene. And it does what Lovecraft does so well, Lovecraft Country, rather. It gives you, like, the people who couldn't understand that Tick would do the things that he did in this episode act like they haven't been watching this entire show, which is they set you up with this really negative expectation and hit you with a positive. They set you up with a positive thing and then hit you with a negative. Like it's incredibly disorienting, but also very much like our life is, especially here in 2020. So I think that's what I liked about that scene.
Okay. I agree with you. They have not been paying attention. It's been real surface for them. Let me just say my other
Yes.
favorite part, um, again, is Tick. It's when he is laying in the hospital bed, when he initially gets it, he's trying to read and his glasses are broken, and then he's having almost having a temper tantrum. And
Almost he had a temper tantrum. He totally
Thank you.
he totally threw his glasses and just kind of like flopped his body around like a temper tantrum.
It makes you think about how young these cats are who they send off to war.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, they are adult in body, but most of them have never faced what one might face in war, do the things that you're being told to do, like, shooting a chick in the face just because. So yeah, again, props to the actor for all that vulnerability that we almost never get to see coming from male black characters. All right, Jeffrey, you had two more things.
Yes. The first thing was, because we're watching an episode that's taking place in South Korea, seeing the romanticized Americana experience on film, and seeing how seductive it was to Gia, I thought that was interesting, because that's really what cinema was in the 1950s, especially if you're living in other countries. I mean, you're seeing this sort of idealized world that America is, with romance and music and, always a happy ending. It kind of goes into what Vanetta was saying earlier as well about heroes and, in American cinema, always having the hero be good and never do anything bad and that sort of thing. And then having Atticus explain that he uses media, in essence, using books, to escape the America that's not being represented in film. So hearing that juxtaposition, seeing how they bonded over that was really nice. And what was the other thing that I was going to say? There was something else, but I can't remember off the top of my head now. But wait, oh crap, it was right there, but then it left.
Was it the use of Judy Garland at the end of the episode?
Well, you can bring that up. I thought it was good too. I didn't recognize her voice, but I guess all the alcohol and the cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was so you because I wasn't sure it was her at first either, but then I had to really pay attention, and it sounded like a mix between Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli.
Mm-hmm.
See, I figured it had to be her just because she was just so heavily featured in the episode that it would make sense. And hearing what she was talking about, from the little that I do know about her life, it made sense that was her, and that she was in essence talking about being a woman, and how the media treats her, how the fans treat her, and that sort of thing. And it really did work well. They do a spectacular job with just finding these quotes, these long form audio clips from the past that just work really well as narration for whatever's going on the screen. That was brilliant. Kudos to whomever is in charge of the archival department on Lovecraft Country, because they've been doing a really good job. And
I have heard a few people that say they do not care for the voiceovers. It takes them out of the show.
Really? But all the voiceover, in essence, sort of doubles down on whatever is being shown. And sometimes it even explains a little bit of what's being shown. So
I hear you.
I don't understand why anybody would have a problem
I
with it.
wasn't one of those people.
Okay, no, I know that, but it's strange. And it's weird because if you think about Judy Garland, I mean this show has been, showcasing the black experience in the 1950s, in particular here in the United States and now abroad. To have the whitest of the whitest of the whitest ladies, you're doing the voiceover in this episode, but yet still making it so relevant with what was going on the screen, I thought was brilliant.
But I think the reason why they used Judy Garland at the end is because it was that fantasy versus reality thing that was happening. They showed her movies all through the episode, which was pure fantasy. And then the reality of her life in making those movies is played for you in an audible version at the end.
Mm-hmm.
This is where all the glam and glitter and Ritz and trolley cars got me. All right. So speaking of the end,
Wait, can Priscilla tell us her other favorite scene?
I'm sorry, Priscilla. Did I skip you?
She keeps coming off.
Girl, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I be trying to keep these names and who's done what and who went where. I apologize. It was not personal. Go ahead, Priscilla.
Nah, I just wanted to say that I loved the fact that their love stemmed from hate to love, that it stemmed from something as innocuous. Like, of course it stemmed from him killing her friend, but like the relationship started with her not wanting to read him his book and ruining the ending for him. And it was so fucking petty as hell. And I remember when I was watching it, like, with my boyfriend was just kind of like, what the hell? She ruined the book. You don't do that to somebody. He got real upset over that.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh, the second point I remembered as Priscilla was talking, just the idea of the monster, how we all have a monster inside of us, some on the show literally, but the figurative idea that we all have a monster inside us, which apparently was lost on everybody that hated Atticus in this episode.
Which I don't understand. He was in war. Okay, so Jeffrey, I want to go back to something you said. When you were talking about when she did accidentally release all the tentacle porn.
Unleash the hounds. Yeah.
And she saw his past. Did you have something else with that?
Well, no, I thought it was interesting. We saw, we saw the past, we saw the future. I'm assuming this is where your theory is coming in?
Yes, I have a theory.
I would love to hear it because your theories are spectacular.
This is a little out there, but she only ever saw a person's life. She never saw a person's future before. What if this Atticus that she almost fed off of is not the Atticus we yet know? What if this is some time travel Atticus happening? Because she did see the future.
I thought she said she could see someone's whole life, past and the future
their
of
whole
the people.
life, but she'd never seen anybody's future before.
She had never seen anybody's future before because she killed them. So they wouldn't have a future. So the reason why she sees Atticus's future is because she doesn't kill him. And in the moment, the reason why she's seeing it is because she is literally pulling back with all her might to keep from killing him.
Didn't she see the potential future that the first guy that she killed, with
That's
him climbing Mount Everest and
shit
like that?
And having a full family, and I thought that was his potential future as well.
Yeah.
I thought that was his whole life. Because she said she absorbed, that's how she knew all she knew about the stepfather, because she absorbed all of their memory. I think he was married and was getting it on with this girl from the bar.
Well, probably, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'd have to rewatch that section again.
I'm just gonna make a whole suggestion.
But my whole
Just
thing.
go back.
Oh,
Just go
well,
back
yeah.
to episode 1.
Yes, you like to watch the first episode and then, until the new episode.
I don't do it all. I haven't done it the last few weeks. I started it today after rewatching episode 6. And the same flower that Articus gives her at the movie when he sneaks her in to show her the movie, it looks very much like the flower he bought in the first episode at from the woman who had her baby and was selling flowers across the street from the hotel.
Interesting. I will say 2 points since you mentioned Atticus. Number one, he hella downplayed to Letty about what happened. Did you love her? Oh, I don't. No. Wait, come on, man. So,
Dude, but what are you gonna do? Are you actually gonna tell her at the time, yes, I loved her?
yes, that would have been, if we're going to talk about him being, a tender black man, he would have been like, I lost my virginity to her, and it was a nice, lovely moment. This, that, I mean, he doesn't have to mention the tentacles, although by now, she'd probably believe him. You know what I'm saying? After all they've been through. But,
Black man,
I don't know. Well, he was so, well, I don't know.
I don't give my whole sexual history to nobody. My husband don't even know my whole sexual history.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. But
I mean, he got a pretty good idea. I wasn't selling misused goods and no shit like that.
Oh, okay.
But
as long as they were good goods.
That you might be in love. Oh yeah, so I lost my virginity.
I don't know. He did hella downplay it, though. He could have said something else without saying everything. I feel like he downplayed big time. But that's part of his trauma. I get it. I know exactly. No, but here's the thing. No one has mentioned it yet. So in one of the flashes in the future, Atticus is in bed with another woman that is not Letty.
Yes.
A darker-skinned black woman. Yes. So, yeah.
I definitely peeped that.
I freeze-framed it because I was like, what?
And I was like, wait, that's definitely not Letty, and that's not her. Okay.
I thought she was going to be upset and say, you said you had never had sex before. I didn't realize that she was seeing his future. So I was like, well, what the heck is that? So what that tells me is, yes, he is likely to die, but we're all going to die. She didn't see everything in a specific order. So whether or not it's you're dying because you went home or sometime long after you go home, you're going to die because, Black people don't age. So she may have been seeing 50-year-old Atticus getting lynched, instead of, 20-year-old Atticus getting lynched. And she maybe didn't notice. Maybe she didn't know the difference. There's a whole lot of unanswered questions there. And I really do think that her character is going to come back in some other way.
I agree.
Because I really liked her.
I know Jeffrey been waiting on her the whole time.
Yeah. No, I love me some Jamie Chung. But
for her at the dough.
At the dough, yeah. But we also have to remember this was fall of 1950.
Yeah.
So that's the last time he saw her. We don't see him in Chicago until 1954, right? No, this is serious, but 1954?
4.
So it's been 4 years. So he could have been having sex with that other black woman, because it's not Letty, in between 1951 and 1954.
But all she saw was his future.
Correct, that would have been the future.
I'm sorry, that was part of his future.
Correct, that would have been the future. I'm just saying, because I don't feel like he's going to cheat on Letty. I am hella fascinated by who she was. And And as far as him dying, when he was deciphering the Sons of Adam pages, one of the words that he deciphered right before he called Gia was die, D-I-E. That's what prompted him to call her. So, yeah, there's that.
So is it possible that one of the other attractions between them is that they were both creatures of magic?
That could have been. That could have also been why she wasn't why he wasn't harmed more when the tentacles came out. One, she was trying to stop it, but also, he has magic that he didn't even know he had.
Right. You have not even become one with the darkness yet. That's what the shaman says. What does it mean?
I didn't really understand any of that at the end. So I don't know if any of you want to explain it to me. Because I was very confused.
I just saw it as foreshadowing.
Okay, I didn't understand any of it, though. Because I was like... Because she was like, so is... Like, even after all of that, she was like, is Atticus going to be okay? And she was like... Why are you concerning yourself with, like, human stuff? Like, you're not human. Like, you shouldn't concern yourself. Like, you shouldn't care if this woman loves you because she's a human and you're not a human. And, you haven't even touched the darkness yet and this, that, or the other. And I was like, I have no idea what you're saying, lady. I watched her burn that piece of paper and the ash go up in the air. And I was like, that's the only thing I understood.
Yeah, I just took it as foreshadowing because there was nothing else for me to see there.
Yeah, I am glad that they gave her something else to do, like post Atticus leaving Gia. I'm glad that we got to see like a true end to this chapter of her story. I was just like, what the hell does any of that mean?
It means she may show up in the States.
More than likely, yes.
Yay!
I don't know. I kind of took it as so they go to the shaman and the shaman's kind of pissed because the payment wasn't made.
Right.
They needed 100 men and she didn't get the 100 men. She got 99 men. And my thing is, like, can you just comp me that one soul? Whatever.
Well, no, because at the end of it, she doesn't want to be human again. She's accepted herself.
But I don't know if you paid attention to the fact that the mom says, yeah, she didn't get the last soul, but is there some way that I can pay her price?
Yeah.
So there's this intimation that she will become like the mom is going to try to do something else to get her soul back. And so there's that little overtone that I think they wanted us to see. And then her staring down the fox, that was another bit that we needed to see because it's kind of kinship and it's also kind of like acceptance. But then in that acceptance, she still is concerned about Atticus, showing that she has grown into having more of a soul than, was originally understood by the mom nor the shaman. And so what the moose said, what the shaman, they call her a moo,
Mudang.
what she says is that that's not something that you should even be concerned about. But it's clear that she is still concerned about it. And she's trying to get her to not be concerned about it because, you have this other thing that, your path is this other thing. But she's still concerned because the nature of love. And that's something that she's just learned that she can do. That's how I took it.
See, you lost me because I didn't interpret the beginning of the scene the way that you did. I also have a little bit of cheating because I did listen to the Lovecraft Country radio podcast with the writer and that sort of thing. So she sort of explained it a little bit. She didn't explain my questions at the end of what the hell the Mudang was saying because I'm still confused by her. But the way that the writer explained it is by that point in the story, the mother had, in essence, accepted Gia for the fact that she is the Kumiho. And in essence, what they were going to the Mudang for was to be like, okay, so she didn't get the 90, she's at 99, she didn't get the 100, but in essence, we're sort of pausing this, and we didn't really see. We thought she was going to get to 100, and that I was going to get my daughter back, and this, that, and the other. We didn't foresee the fact that we're stopping at 99, and what happens next now. Like, where do we go from here? Because GI is going to stay with this spirit in her.
Until somebody get an engine going hot and hard.
Well, yeah.
Then who knows what'll happen. All righty. Well, we can now go to our MVP section. State which character impressed you throughout the episode and why. Once a character has been chosen, they cannot be selected again, so choose wisely. And this week, I'm going to go first because I'm not going to get none of y'all no opportunity to steal Atticus from me. Atticus was a Black man with emotion and feelings and vulnerabilities, and I loved him for it. And I don't care what those internet people say. People are more than just one good and one bad. It's all in how you're looking at it. Next is Vanetta. Who is your MVP?
I want to say Gia, but I don't want Gia as like when she's being a girl. I like her when she's like channeling the Kumiho and she's like speaking in that deep, rough voice and scaring the shit out of her mom. That's the one I like.
All right, Priscilla, who is your MVP?
It's killing me that I can't remember her name now, but her Gia's friend, the nurse friend,
Young
the one
Ja.
who sacrificed herself for her.
Young Ja.
Young Ja, yeah. I thought it was noble of her. Like, she could have kept silent and kept her cause true, and all the nurses would have died, but the communist movement would have kept ongoing without any data being leaked. But she loved Gia so much that she confessed. So, yeah.
All right, Jeffrey, who is your MVP for the week?
I'm going to give it to Sunhee. I thought Cindy Chang did a really great job as the mom. Talking about monsters. I mean, she was very monstrous in the beginning. In essence, turning her daughter into a sex worker. It was that's the undertone, overtone, middle tone that was there from the beginning. And then once we found out the truth that she's doing this to get her daughter back, there were still some sinister undertones with that. Her reaction to Gia when, as Vanetta said, she goes full dark side, I thought was really good. I was really impressed. I enjoyed her throughout the episode. I mean, everyone else has been right, and there aren't that many more to choose from. But she, as the episode was going on, I was like, I like her.
She didn't kind of sell her daughter as a sex worker. She sold her daughter as a sex worker.
No, yeah, that's why I said over, under, and middle tones.
Oh, okay. Because it became very clear that for a life of comfort, she was willing to give up her little girl's innocence.
But many women deal with that, and not just in the 50s. So I thought it was impressive that they went there, because that is definitely something that happens.
Not just women. All right. Let's rate this puppy. Rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10 keys. The point system is allowed. If you found this episode exceptionally deserving of more than 10, you may grant it the coveted golden key, except for Jeffrey, because Jeffrey is out of golden key.
Nope, I went to Costco over the weekend, and I'm in stock with golden keys for me and for everybody else.
Nobody else ran out, Jeffrey.
Well, there is no
I'm just
limit.
saying.
You're the only one that gives yourself a limitation.
Yes, because it has to mean something. All right. I have checked the randomizer. Priscilla, what is your rating for this episode?
I think I'm going to give it 10 keys. Not necessarily a golden, because I still feel like there are other things like the friend of Atticus who could have like maybe gotten a little bit more, just because I would have liked to have seen what what life was like for somebody else. But I don't know. 10 keys is pretty good. 10
Okay,
keys.
10 keys it is. Vanetta, what are you giving this episode?
I am going to give this, I'm giving it 9 keys. I really liked it. Yeah, I really liked it, and 9 keys is where I am.
Okay. Jeffrey?
All right. I thought it was a good episode. I thought they did a really great job of world building in the episode. I loved the Asian supernatural mythos that we saw. I love how presumptuous you were that I was going to give it a golden key. I'm not. I'm going to give it a 9.5. I'm saving my golden key that I got at Costco over the weekend for next week for Hippolyta.
You haven't seen the episode yet, so...
I saw the promo, and it's everything that I think it's going to be based off of the synopsis that I read about that chapter.
So I will tell you, I'm really upset. They did a special drive-in viewing in Chicago Wednesday night, I think. Wednesday night or Thursday night of episode 6, and I didn't know anything about it, and I was angry.
I'm angry for you, too.
Find out until after the fact. Right? All these people I know in all these groups, and ain't nobody say, hey, Derek, get in your car and come to the planetarium.
I blame Lori Lightfoot.
Well, I am going to give this episode 9 keys. I really enjoyed it. Jeffrey, you were very right. It did a lot for the world building, which is why I think that they are doing all this world building, because this show is going to continue on past its original 10. Fingers crossed. Hoping so. Yeah, and it was great. It was great getting out of Chicago for a while and seeing what else was out there. And more stuff for people to obsess over, and realizing there are people out there who don't like to read.
So sad.
And with that, as we end this week's journey into Lovecraft country, here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Greetings from Lovecraft Country and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. My co-host, please wish the listeners a good night. Jeffrey.
Good night, listeners. Be safe out there. Wash your hands, wear a mask, and watch out for the tentacles. They're coming for you.
Priscilla.
Aw, the tentacles don't have to be all that bad. You saw at the end. They can save you.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah.
All right, then. Good night, everybody.
Watch out for that tree. Vanetta.
Good night, y'all. Tentacles and all.
All 9 of them. 9 tentacles for 9 orifices. Did y'all do the math?
I did do the math.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize
a lot of blood.
Those many holes. They said this was the bloodiest episode ever. And how do you clean that room after?
I don't know if I agree with that, because there was a whole lot of blood with Ruby.
They said it was the bloodiest episode.
I know. I heard they said that. I don't know if I wish they could have heard me when I was like, really? Because I don't know if I fully agree. Maybe with the gallons, because you have to spray the whole room. But I don't know. All right, back to you, Derek.
I didn't understand how mom was cleaning with that little rag. How she was ever gonna get that? I
Well,
figured it
again,
just
that's
had
why
to.
it took that
You
long
just
to
throw
get
the
90
whole damn
men.
room.
It took
Vanetta,
5 months to clean the room.
the year 1950, there's no Swiffer Sweeper. There's no Roomba. I don't even know if Mr. Clean exists. Maybe not in South Korea.
A Roomba would just make a mess out of
I
that.
know. No Pine Sol and no Fabuloso.
And on that note, thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of Greetings from Lovecraft Country every Wednesday via Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and the Poppy Chulo Radio Archives. This is Derek Anthony wishing you a good night.